Hey, 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 music teachers. Welcome to Ultimate Music Teachers Live. I'm Gloria St. Germain along with my co-host Joanne Barker. Come on down. How you doing, Joanne?
I'm doing great, Gloria. It's been a really awesome, busy week with Music Business Mastery, and I'm heading off to a bridal shower this weekend, all on the other side of the province. I'm just really excited for all the great stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah, we still have to enjoy. I mean, we talk a lot about teaching and all of that, but there's also the personal side, and we got to make sure that we have some fun. And I think as a music teacher, there's a lot of things that we have to consider. And one of them is, our private life, our personal life, and then, the other things that we have interests and desires to do. But today I thought we would chat a little bit about just what are all the music teacher considerations in growing your business. So we've got quite a few things that I thought we'd talk about today. And the first thing is, how many students do you need to fill your studio? And I think when you're looking at your, what's the plan? What's your plan for your success path? What does that look like? Like, how do you make that decision, Joanne, about how many students do you need to fill your studio?
Well, obviously what we make as an income is important. I pay rent in two different locations. I'm at a church one day a week, and I have a small studio space in the community I used to live in. So you want to make sure that what you're bringing in justifies paying their rent. So if you've got expenses, like if you're renting pianos for your studio or something, or if you've just bought a piano, you want to make sure that your income, is justifying that. I kind of compare this to what we're doing later today. We have to drive through the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
So we're deciding to go the back way because taking a little longer, and that justifies us having the the easier drive, right? So you have to think what justifies this decision. So when I'm deciding, for me right now, I do a budget at the beginning of the year saying, here's what I want to make, here's what I need to put into savings for my retirement, here's what I need for my budget, and here's where I need to be with students. And I always shoot slightly over that number because, one word, hockey.
Yeah. And it's funny you said that, because I think sometimes we sort of just make a plan to teach. But I think the most important thing is that we put together a strategic, plan as to what is the revenue that we want to make. When we start with that, then we can decide the next thing, which is, now we know this is how many students we need to fill our studio, because this is the revenue that we want to make every month. And then we have to talk about, okay, so now we know that's the money we want to make. So this is how many students we need. What if we just increased our fees a little? Or what if we decided that we were going to teach Ultimate Music Theory Club classes? Now we're talking about teaching groups, which obviously makes a lot more money for you. And so I think one of the things that we talk about often, we just did in Music Business Mastery, is what age group are you most passionate about teaching? So what do you feel, Joanne, is kind of your niche? You're like, this is the age group that I'm passionate, that I mean, we all teach all ages. However, we do have a target market. What does that look like? What does that look like for you?
For me, it's the younger kids. You kind of have to adapt to your community and to what the people around you want. My former minister used to call it a urban area. It's rural and urban together. The little community is it's actually on the edge of the town, but the downtown is about 20 minutes away, and it's 400,000 people live there. So we're in this really peculiar position of being out in the country, but right attached to a city. Hockey's huge for both boys and girls. It's massive these days, right? So if I wanted to just teach strictly exam students who are going to achieve a high level, I might have 3 kids. So I love teaching that, but there's also a nice thing about teaching a little more recreationally, that stress of exam prep is gone. We still learn the theory. We still follow a syllabus. We still cover the material. We just don't have that extra pressure. And that seems to have worked really well. So my ideal client is actually the parents and grandparents of students between the ages of 6 and 9 as beginners. That's my ideal, because kids don't pay us after all, do they?
That's right.
And grandparents.
And, that kind of leads us into what we discussed, when we wrapped up our 3-day event just now with Music Business Mastery. And we talked about, the mindset, the strategies, and the tools. And, we're diving into our weekly coaching call inside our UMT Teachers membership. For those of you that are already in the membership, with Joanne and I'll see you shortly. But I think one of the important things is really sitting down and analyzing, what are you passionate about? what works in your area. And then there's also the whole online world where you may be teaching students that are in other countries, such as Liana. And when we think about what can be profitable for our business, but how can we make it work for our family? So I know for myself, I used to teach a lot of kids, and obviously I was teaching theory club classes, but I knew that in order to spend some time with my own family, if I taught starting at 7 o'clock in the morning before kids had school, I could actually fit in 2 1-hour students, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I'm a morning person, so it worked for me and it worked for parents. And the beauty of it is that within 4 days, I got up a little bit earlier, but I had 8 hours of teaching, and then I could have that time off in the evening to have with my family. And I think it's really important to analyze, like, what's going to work for me? And one of the things I want to invite everyone to consider is if you're pondering, sometimes you just need to have a conversation, which is what I love about Joanne. We have these conversations about this works, and then that could work. What are the possibilities? And I think that's one of the things I want to invite all of our viewers today, that if you're interested in learning more about how you can grow your music teaching business and you're just curious to have just a strategy conversation, I'll put the link in the notes in the chat below. So you can book a 15-minute call. It's free. It's a strategy session. Let's talk about what's possible for you and how you can take your music teaching business to the next level. Because Joanne, share a little bit about what's happened in your business growth. I mean, you've grown so much since coming into the Elite Educator Program and certification. You've actually designed a new home, built that new home, and you're living in that new home right now. How are things going with you?
Things are going great. I'm actually at the point now, because this is my 46th year of teaching, and I didn't want to teach as many students. I want to cut back. I want to cut back to 45, but I have 50 students. And I know for some teachers that sounds like a lot of students. For me, I used to have 120 or 100 students. This past year, I had 65 students, but I want more Joanne time. And because of the strategies that I learned in the business part of the Elite Educator Program, I started looking at my finances differently. So I started saying, no, this money is non-touchable. It doesn't exist. This is my retirement. Yes, my husband has a small pension, so we have that. But I want to be self-sufficient. I want to protect myself for my future. And by looking at money in a different way and giving the nicknames to the categories and watching every penny. I love a good spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Budgeting is important. And people, I think what I see in a lot of conversations, we can get so wrapped up with where I need students, I need students, I need students, I need students. Yeah. You know what? A really good restaurant that opens, how does it grow? It grows by word of mouth. And why does it grow by word of mouth? It's because they have a great product. So the wonderful thing about the Elite Educator Program is that the certification course is in there. There's the great program. Now, whether you're teaching theory club classes or whether you're using the theory books just in your regular classes, the ability to convey the theory concepts in a much more meaningful way for students, that makes it. And that's where I don't advertise. I have not paid for advertising for probably 15 years now.
Yep.
Right. I learned yesterday that term is organic. Thanks, Jessica. Organic means they come to you naturally, free, without paying. So there was a lot of good tips in that Music Business Mastery this week. You can always learn something.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's important to really take those strategies, because I know for myself, being in business for a long time, and we're now in 38 countries around the world, and it takes a lot to figure out all of these things, and it takes time. And one of the reasons we created the Elite Educator Program and the Ultimate Music Theory Certification course and the Ultimate Music Teachers membership is so it could save you time and make you money. And for me, that's gold. If something is going to save me time and increase my income, I'm interested to learn more. How is that going to work for me? Because I love helping teachers. And Joanne, you are the queen of our community. And, we so appreciate you being there. And I know teachers do as well. And there's no, wrong question or silly question. If you have a question, ask it in our Facebook group, our Ultimate Music Teachers Facebook group, or our LinkedIn group. Message me. I'm happy to chat with you. And we're going to dive in right now to our coaching call, Joanne. Are you ready to meet our members in there?
I'm ready. I'm ready. And then after that, we're out of here, driving through Toronto, getting through that obstacle, planning our course carefully, and going away.
Yeah. And you guys are going to have fun. And I have news too, because my daughter Sherry is flying in from Las Vegas. A funny story for you guys before we go. So Sherry's flying in, and I got to pick her up at the airport at 9 o'clock tonight. And I just got a message, FaceTime from her. It was, 6:45 in the morning. And I said, "Oh, hi. Like, what are you doing up so early?" Because my 6:45 is 5 o'clock in the morning for her. And because she's in Vegas and I'm in Manitoba. So she said, my assistant said to me, "Oh, don't forget your flight leaves at 7 tomorrow. So, anything you need, are you going to, pre-register?" And she said, "No, I'm okay. I'll just register when I just got to carry on. I'll just register when I get to the airport." So she messaged me. She's at the airport. No one in the airport because her flight leaves at 7 p.m., not 7 a.m.
Oh, well, that would be an interesting airport to be in with nobody. I've been in both of the airports there. It's like there's lots to do.
Yeah. So she decided she would just she lives close to the airport, so she took an Uber back home and said, "I'm just going to go and do a couple of more things, as we always can find more things to do." But anyway, so
I guess the message in that is, when you're doing your planning, always double check your plannings to make sure your numbers are accurate. See, there's a moral to every story.
There's a moral
to the story. Check those details.
Right. Anyway, thanks. I'll put the link in there, and feel free to book your strategy session call. Till next time, teach with passion. Bye.
Bye-bye.